Good morning, everybody, and hello, world, from the Islamic University of Gaza, Palestine. Today, we have a very interesting discussion on one of the most famous poems in Elizabethan England, written by Christopher Marlowe. The poem is The Passionate Shepherd. Before we started videotaping this, I gave you 15 minutes to discuss 3 important questions. But before I go to the questions, I want to share some of the funny memes you sent me, mocking the course, the poems, Shakespeare, me, mocking each other. Allegedly, Shakespeare said, allegedly again, don't take this seriously, if memes be the food of the soul, then stuff me up, give me excess of them, okay? So when I ask for memes, can we share the screens, please? Some of you Maha sent me this beautiful meme showing how precious memes are, how they are now part and parcel of every aspect of our lives, that you're giving me your heart because it's, I don't know, it's stuffed with memes. I love this very much. It shows how creative you are. And somebody shared this, I think this is from last year. Okay, it doesn't show. So here somebody saying, I answered Dr. Rifat's question in class today. So, and it says here, he asked for textual evidence, and then this. Okay, I will keep asking for textual evidence. I don't care if you keep mocking me. And then I love this. This is one of the guys who memed himself, because when I was asking about why is Shakespeare stressing thee in the first line, unstressing thee, and stressing it in the final line of the sonnet, the guy said it was a verb somewhere and something, and that's impossible. It doesn't work at all. So why isn't thee initially stressed and finally is? Because it is a noun initially and a verb finally, and that's a very me reaction to this. It's crazy creative, but it doesn't work. And I love this very much. Last class, everybody was attacking Shakespeare, trashing Shakespeare for being anti-feminist, even a misogynist, you know, downgrading women, looking down upon women, considering women, etc., etc. But Rahaf was like, I like the poem. I think it's not that anti-feminist, or it's not anti-feminist even. And this is a beautiful meme. I never understood this meme until I saw this particular situation. And again, this is poetry. You don't have to all believe in the same thing. You don't have to even agree with me. You could have your own opinion. That would be like totally fine, as long as you have, again, textual evidence. I love this, and I know I am far behind in the meme world. But then I know what this means here. So this is sleep. Sleep is boring, like boring, yeah? Sleep. What's sleep? But then Shakespeare, like death's second self. And by the way, you'll find so many things like this one in Shakespeare. He doesn't like shortcuts. I like this. And I did this because most of you, and this is not making fun of anybody, but that's totally Sonnet 130, and then feminists charging. Forget about the situation and the context. That's the beautiful thing about the memes. Don't tell me eventually that Jon Snow won the battle, so the sonnet won the battle. I don't care about this, but this is a beautiful representation of how feminists would rightfully attack and defend themselves. Sorry?
Can't you be a feminist without hating the sonnet?
You can, you can, yeah. Not all feminists, see the same things equally. I also memed this myself, so I'm trying to be there. So somebody would say, Shakespeare likes women. Nice, because he writes sonnets for them. And then somebody say, no, there's some anti-feminism in the poem. And that's, even more advanced thinking. And then somebody says, no, Shakespeare not only likes women, he empowers them. And then somebody says, and which is mind-blowing stuff, Shakespeare is attacking patriarchy while at the same time being anti-feminist. making Shakespeare on a different level. And again, this is, what's his name? Drake? Okay, so Drake here saying, my mistress' eyes are like the sun, but my mistress, her breath reeks. The breath from my mistress reeks. That's it. That's the thing. That's what that's what makes me like her. One more, I think. Okay. So today, I'm happy that you're happy with the memes. Probably we can start with memes every class, so something different. Now, today we have this poem, The Passionate Shepherd, and I want someone to read it. I'm sorry the screen doesn't show the whole poem, but we can read it in parts, please. Wow.
Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures move. That hills and valleys, dale and field, and all the craggy mountains view. There will we sit upon the rocks, and see the shepherds feed their flocks. By shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. There will I make thee beds of roses, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. Thy silver dishes for thy meat, as precious as the gods do eat, shall on an ivory table be, prepared each day for thee and me. The shepherd swains shall dance and sing, for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love.
Okay, beautiful. Stanza number 4, line number 3, fair. This should be lined, so we count 8 syllables. And the annotation here in your book indicates that lined, giving it an extra syllable for a poetic purpose here. Excellent reading. One more, please.
Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove. That hills and valleys, dale and field, and all the craggy mountains yield. There will we sit upon the rocks, and see the shepherds feed their flocks. By shallow rivers, to whose falls melodious spirits sing madrigals. There will I make thee beds of roses, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool,
A gown.
a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair lining slivers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with gold clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. Thy silver dishes for thy meat, as precious as the gods do eat, shall on an ivory table be, prepared each day for thee and me. The shivered swans shall dance and sing, for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love.
Beautiful recitation also. One more, please.
Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures.
I like how you all saying like, come live with me. Should it be come live with me, come live with me, or come live with me? How are you opening the poem? Are you opening it with a stressed syllable or unstressed syllable? Go on.
Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove, that hills and valleys, dale and field, and all the craggy mountains yield. There will we sit upon the rocks, and see the shepherd feed their flocks. By shallow rivers, to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. There will I make thee beds of roses, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers, and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lamb we pull, fair lined slippers
for the cold with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may they move, come live with me and be my love. Thy silver dishes for thy meat, as precious as the gods do eat, shall on an ivory table be prepared each day for thee and me. The shepherd's swains shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love.
Okay, also nice reading. So before we see your responses to the three questions I raised, if you look at the poem, remember, there are things we need to do before we attempt analyzing the poem, which is, number one, is examining the shape and the form and highlighting certain things. This is, the title of the sonnet is, the poem, sorry, not the sonnet, is The Passionate Shepherd to His Love. The title is always significant, but you have to be careful because that time not many poems had titles and the titles were added later on by critics. But here, the one we have is very telling. The Passionate Shepherd, we understand that the speaker is a shepherd. The speaker is a shepherd. Pay attention to the spelling of shepherd, silent H. And the shepherd is passionate, he's in love to his love. The addressee, we understand, is a woman. Okay? Now remember, the speaker is not necessarily the poet. Most often the speaker is not the poet. Sometimes they're the same, like in romanticism, romantic poetry, especially with William Wordsworth. Now, one more thing, don't take everything told to you for granted. So if I ask you, what is the relationship between the speaker and the addressee, the recipient, you shouldn't say, she is his love. Despite the fact that the title says, to his love. So his love here is key, not in order to take it for granted, like that she is his love, we don't know, we're not sure. Let's see the text. But he's claiming here. Yeah, he's owning here. I own you, you're mine. Okay? And after that, we need to try to understand who does what in the text. Who says what in the text? The text has how many voices? Probably one. One dominant voice. And that it is that of the voice of the shepherd. There are birds singing, sheep doing what sheep do, and other shepherds probably also singing and dancing. But the woman is nowhere to be seen or to be heard. Okay? So the woman is basically silent. You could say silent or silenced. There's a slight but significant difference here. She's silent. Basically, maybe she chose to be silent. But silence, probably somebody is silencing her, is not giving her the chance to speak. But there's another question. Is she present? Is she absent? Because listen, we'll see in other poems later on, the woman could be silent, but she does the most significant things in the poem. The whole poem revolves around her. In Sonnet 18, we felt that the woman is present. She's there. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art. But Sonnet 130, she is nowhere to be seen. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. She's absent. We'll talk about this in a bit. The second thing I want you to consider before getting into the poem, again, is the form. This is a short poem. How many stanzas? Seven stanzas of 4 lines each. Excellent. So relatively short, actually short. And each, how do you recognize the poetry paragraph, the verse paragraph? by this gap here. So every 4 lines make a stanza here, a group. They are a unit in themselves, but they also are part of the other lines. If you count the syllables, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You'll realize that mostly 8. And that's different from the sonnet, which goes for 10. Iambic pentameter, iambic tetrameter. You have 4 feet. 8 syllables, 4 feet. 10 syllables, 5 feet. The rhyme scheme goes basically A, B, B. Listen, I know some people who would like to continue saying C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G. And I don't like doing it this way. I like to begin again, to begin over with every new stanza. Every new stanza, you go back to A, to the alphabet. And this makes it easier for you to say, for example, you would say, this is a short poem of 7 stanzas rhyming regularly A, B, B. Instead of saying rhyming regularly A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G, H, H. What if we run out of like we have more than 26 lines? We're going to run out of the alphabet. What should we do? It's a silly thing to think of, but again, new stanza, go back to the alphabet. So this is A, B, B. Again, A, B, B. And again, A, B, B. Type. This is just something I want to highlight at the beginning. I want group 1, somebody from group 1 to come answer this question. So we have these 3 questions that I'm raising here. Question 1 says, is the poem convincing, logically speaking, the argument? What does the poet do to try to convince the addressee, the woman? Do you think the addressed woman accepted Marlowe's call? Is she going to accept his call? Is she going to say, okay, I'm coming? What does he do? So this group, you took 10 minutes thinking of this. Somebody who wants to come here, could you please come here? Go on and raise your voice, please.
From my perspective,
your own perspective or that of the group?
The group.
Okay. So this is the I of the group. This is the collective I. Sometimes we find this in poetry and in literature.
Because we women are united.
Okay, go on.
I think it's not convincing because the materials he's offering her, like beds of roses, a gown made of finest wool, and golden slippers, doesn't last forever and doesn't indicate that his love for her is true. If the beloved is a naive woman who's thinking about these formalities and nobleness, she will accept his calls, and he is lying, as he is a shepherd poor, is a poor shepherd and cannot bring her all the pleasures he's talking about. But if she is looking for true love based on trust and respect, she will not accept his calls.
Okay. I like how you took the fact that this is a shepherd, with all due respect to all jobs, and you're saying that this is a poor man, and if he's a poor man, he can't afford all these pleasures and expensive things. What things does he mention in the text? What is he offering here, basically? Roses, silver dishes, gold, not gold, purest gold. Gown, wool, and food, a lot of food, shawarma perhaps. What else? What else is he offering here? Ivory, the slippers, yeah. That must be convincing, offering somebody a pair of slippers. But they're not ordinary slippers, right? Okay. Thank you very much. Same group here. Could you please, any one of you, do you want to add something extra? Does any one of you feel that the argument is convincing, is fairly convincing? That women could be enticed and tempted by this? No worry, if you have a different opinion, come here, please. Don't worry, yeah? We're not going to judge you. You have a different opinion? The whole group agrees that this is not convincing. All of you. What about you?
The reason is different.
Not convinced or convinced? Not convinced? Okay, come here, Reem. Let's see what you have to say, this group. That's nice if you're not convinced. I expected like different opinions so we can discuss and argue. Go on.
We don't think this is a convincing poem, or it's.
And this is not the regal we, you know, the regal we, like kings and say we, you know. No, this is the we of the group. Yeah, go on.
We don't think this is a convincing poem, or it's actually a true love poem, since the speaker is a shepherd who draws this awesome, amazing imaginary picture of, to his beloved, but yet he is poor and cannot provide all this sweetness and happiness to his beloved. He is a liar when he says...
Okay, let's say, I can see where most of you are going. The shepherd, he's poor, he's lying. What if he's a king and he's offering these things? Yalla shuf. If you run away from my argument, I'll bring other arguments, don't worry.
Well, here we come
Sorry.
to the question of our group.
Well, yeah, we'll see that, you know, let's assume that because, okay, you're saying you're poor, you're a liar, no. Okay, let's change, let's assume that we don't know what the speaker is, who he is, what job he has, or how much money. He could be a shepherd, a rich shepherd.
Yeah.
There's possibility that this could be a king going out, you know, taking care of sheep for just fun, one day. Would that change anything? Like if you realize that in this text, as a woman again, that the man saying these things can really afford them. Ihsan?
This differs from a woman to another.
Uh-huh.
For me, I care, but not mostly. I care about how he treats me, how is he really loves me or not. So I would think about it. I would not say agree for just two things, the slavers and.
Okay, I see. I like that change in tone about this. Could you please continue?
He is a liar when he said, with packers of the purest gold, thy silver dishes for thy meat, and an ivory table. So these promises become more and more unachievable. So how he will get this gold, not even gold, but the purest. Also, this is there is an imperfect rhyme at the beginning.
We'll come to that, the form. We'll come to that. I'll get back to you. Just remind me about the imperfect. How you connect the form with that.
The woman also is not there in the poem, and the speaker should.
So if she's not there, what's wrong with that?
He's talking to himself without having a reply from him.
Okay.
So he shouldn't wait her to accept his love, since there is a lot of manipulation and lies, unless she actually loves him.
Okay, so the man is manipulative. And again, I want to ask the question not only for this group, for all of you. Assuming that these things can be achieved, would you change a little bit? How would you feel? How would you react to this poem? Are you going to react to this poem the same way most of you are now reacting to it? You're accusing the guy of being a liar, and deceitful, and manipulative. Say again?
I want to read my answer.
This question here.
Yes, but the reason is different.
So you will change.
I wouldn't say he's a liar.
Okay.
Even he's honest.
Even if he is.
Even if he is honest, and even if he is rich.
Okay.
This is not convincing for a woman. Not all women.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong? Like, these are beautiful things. I know somebody who would love somebody for much less,
Like we all want.
you know, for a retweet, maybe for a follow. So somebody maybe you can try to rewrite the poem in today's social media crazes about social media. So come live with me and be my love, and we'll all the pleasures prove. And then you go for how you're going to bring her more followers, retweet, and memes, and, you know.
Likes.
What's that? Likes. stuff.
I would say that we all, like our human nature, not just woman nature, we love to be loved and to have comfort. And
To be
have
showered
pleasure,
with
but the
gifts
question
and things.
Is that enough? And this depends from.
That's an excellent question. So what's missing in your opinion here? What's missing?
Like from a feminist point of view, or let's say strong independent woman point of view, she wants respect. She wants more guarantees of her life, of her opinion, to have like.
So real love, respect.
Her lifestyle is already chosen, and this is.
That's interesting. So is there love and respect and these things in the text, in the poem? Yes.
I think he should give her more love feelings, not just simple materials to convince her.
So the poem highlights and emphasizes materialistic things, indicating what? Is this how you convince a woman
He's like saying
or a
that
human
men
being?
are materialistic and superficial and can easily be won with the materialistic stuff, which is a false image of women.
Okay. One more, please.
I want to add something that if you want to promise me to make something to me, you have to give me a possible promises, like something real, not just something you cannot do it later, even if it's something material or something respecting or like that. You have to be or to stand to your promises.
Okay, things that are feasible, achievable, please. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move. We're almost running out of time here. Let's move to the second question about, again, you kind of mentioned something here. From a feminist point of view, what do you think of Marlowe's passionate shepherd, the passionate shepherd to his love? How would a woman react to this? Like, again, not just a woman who believes that women are equal to men. Yeah? This group, could you please come here?
Okay. So we were lucky to get the feminist question, so it's our play yard. First of all, he uses the word his in the title as he owns her. And also he used the word, in the first line, he used the word come live with me as a commanding. Sort of forcing her, he would use like a nicer word like could you, live with me, shall you, or something like this. Also, he praises the natural elements way more than his beloved woman herself. He used mountains, birds, roses, blah, blah, blah. And he's being very self-centered. He's taking for granted that the woman would like all the things he provides. And for me or other women, some other women would not even care or not love flowers, for example. Wouldn't care if the gown is made of the finest wool. She would concentrate more on his love, his respect, his feelings towards her. Also, he says, be my love. He never said, would you accept me to be your love too? So she would maybe say no. For me, I would say no. Furthermore, he's perfectly materialistic. He says beds of roses, fragrant poisons, purest gold. Also, the woman here is voiceless. In the poem, he never asks about her opinion in anything. And he focuses more on the setting than the overall atmosphere of the situation. So he doesn't say, when I sit with you, we'll talk about this, we'll feel this, things would be that way. Silver dishes, ivory tables, she would not be interested in all of these things. And also a gown made of the finest wool. He focuses on the medium itself, not, for example, he would say a gown in your favorite color, for example.
Okay.
She would be more interested in him and love him more if he cares about the very small details about her, not the materialistics and money and the medium of things. Yeah,
And imagine, I like your idea suggesting that she could be allergic to roses or flowers or pollen. Or is this your idea too? Well, like she convinced you or you convinced her? Okay, that's nice. This is part of the job here. One more answer here. Could you please come here quickly? Like I want you, to say the things she didn't for the sake of time.
Okay, I'll try to say it. Okay, well, I believe for a misrepresents women in general and his beloved one in particular in this poem. First of all, the misrepresentation of women being materialistic. He describes his beloved as, and I will keep saying beloved, as shallow and, like I can say, a gold digger, because he says the silver dishes for thy meat and the ivory table and etc. He keeps bragging about all the things that he might bring her. He's boasting about his non-existence wealth, possibly, when saying a gown made of the finest wool and everything. Okay, now the lover in his poem is not heard. She is passive, which can be interpreted in two different ways. A sign of weakness, maybe, as if he's silencing her, taking her approval for granted, which...
Yeah, I think you're victim blaming here. If you're saying he's silencing her, why are you describing this as a sign of weakness? She could be strong still, but he is overpowering, over-controlling her.
This is why I have like to interpret it.
Okay.
We have to interpret it.
Good.
Again, okay, and like as I said, this part of silencing her, again, empowers the patriarchal society. It can also be interpreted as her way of resistance and refusal. The fact that he starts with commands is another way of about how like men dominate women and etc. Okay, and also like the fact that he says "my love" in the title, which apparently she's not his love. Even though he starts with commands, he places some doubts when saying, if these pleasures may be the like move with me or something. So he believes that within himself, he believes that she's not really willing to come to him. So after being so sure, he once again
might move.
Yeah, exactly.
The might, not must, for example.
He uses the if.
Okay, thank you very much for adding the idea that the silence, because we know stupidly we think that silence is a sign of consent. It's not. It's not. So is silence here an action in itself? He's ignoring him. She's not even, going down to his level. She's ignoring him. She's giving him the hand. And I would imagine, a dramatization of this poem where I don't know where the woman is and how she would react to this. And I have in mind Phoebe and Precious, that scene when Phoebe made Precious, slap mark. I'm not sure if you have this scene in mind. She was at the beginning, she was so sad because he's breaking up with her, and then because thanks to Phoebe's feminist views and opinions and pushing, she pulled herself together and managed to strike back. Okay, we'll go to the third question with this group. How does the poem as a work of fiction, change reality, create a particular image of women? So most of the answers here say that the idea is negative. So we'll skip this idea. The idea is negative here. Do you agree that the idea of the woman is positive, other than the fact that the possibility that Noha raised here, that the woman is a strong, independent woman by ignoring him, by neglecting him, by blocking him, right? Okay? So let's see question number 3.
Can I disagree before we move to
With what? With
the first...
quickly, go on, please. Go on, yeah, sure.
Agree or not, materialism takes place and it's important, okay?
Sure, yeah.
He kept offering her things, but he's showing her how far he's willing to go. He keeps offering her and she's not convinced, so he offers more, she's not convinced, and he offers more. So yes, he knows that she's not convinced with this material, but he keeps offering because he is committed. He actually loves
That's a very also interesting reading here. That's a very beautiful also
we felt
reading.
that he's not asking for her opinion, but she's not responding. He keeps offering, so...
That's a very good point. Let's go to question number 3 for the sake of time. Who wants to come here, Nadia? Please. Question number 3 is very significant. Remember, fiction not only influences and affects reality, but can create certain realities. Go on.
This poem, which seems sweet and lovely at first glance, it further supports the stereotypical image of winning women in our minds. And there are a number of points that I'm going to mention. first thing, as Most said, that he's trying to convince her or seduce her with materialistic stuff, suggesting that women are superficial, with like caps of flowers, kirtle made of myrtle leaves, and fancy gowns, etc. This also suggests that a woman needs a man to get her stuff, and she's not independent herself. She is also lied to. He's trying to convince her with stuff that he can't get, suggesting that women are easily deceived and fooled and are not intellectual or smart enough to notice that those are lies. For example, buckles of purest gold and silver dishes. Third point is the word pleasure is repeated twice in the text, in the first stanza and in the fifth one. It's like he's hinting that he's sexually attracted to her, supporting that the image of women as objects and objects of lust and desire. First point, as also some said, she doesn't have a voice. She's not responding to him. He shows us the places that they're going to go to and the stuff that they're going to get and buy, that he is going to get and buy.
And the type of shawarma they're eating, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like she doesn't have a say even in the stuff that are supposed to be luxurious. He orders her using come and be, so that furthers the point that she doesn't have a say in that. And I think that's it.
Thank you very much. That's really beautiful. You can always depend on Nadia for a feminist reading of texts. Let's see Rahaf. Do you totally agree with Nadia? Do you have something to challenge?
I have two arguments that weren't presented.
Please,
by
go
the
on.
group.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, the woman doesn't have a voice, and we never hear the opinion her opinion throughout the poem, as many of you said. So the voice of the man is dominant, and the woman, on the other hand, is referred to as my love. So he owns her, as Dr. Rifat said also. We also find the shepherd trying to tempt her with false pleasures he obviously can't afford. And then another thing is, there's no mention of marriage or commitment throughout the whole poem. So he's only telling her, come live with me and be my love. And he also, all the pleasures he presents her with are pleasures that are to be attained in springtime. But life is not about spring. It's also about autumn and winter. So he's not actually committing himself to be with her.
That's a good argument here. I think you should be fighting after the class. See who is going to win the argument.
So there's obviously no commitment. He's not telling her that I will be with you for the rest of my life. And another thing is that Nadia said pleasures. Well, yeah, I don't think it's actually about love. It's about attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asking her to live with him and be his love at a time when women were supposed to be caste before marriage. So by that indicates how low an opinion he has of her ability to make sound judgments.
True.
And so he's doubting her mental capacity. So that's what I say. So she's
again,
presented as stubborn and naive.
Okay, in brief, in less than 1 minute, how does this create a particular image of women? The things you mentioned, all of you here, you and Nadia especially, about how women are looked down upon. He's condescending. He's patronizing her. He's taking her for granted, and that's horrible. So how does that create a particular image of women in our minds?
As objects.
Yeah.
As fools.
I mean, does the poem play a role in this? I want you to think again of how much of our lives, or our life, is inspired by fiction. How many ideas we believe in that that were inspired originally from works of fiction, from movies, from fictional characters, from fictional writings.
Personally speaking, a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They form a lot of my ideas.
We'll see. Thank you very much. You want to say something?
Yeah, it's like if poets who are supposed to be the intellectual ones in the society look at women this way, this means that the whole society will think that this is the okay image and the okay look.
Because poets.
Yeah, even like the higher class look at women this way.
Okay. So I want you to think more of these questions, especially the last one. And in the whole course, we'll usually go back to question number 3 and see how this is creating some kind of image about women in particular. Now, okay, thank you. These are fascinating ideas. I'm very proud of you. You should be proud of your ideas. And this is what I am trying to do here. You have great ideas. You just need a little bit of courage to voice them, to argue for them, to get textual evidence to support your arguments. Now, before I finish, somebody, Reem here said there's something with rhyme schemes. But before that, look at how arrogant he is, how confident. Listen, I'm okay with the fact that he's a shepherd. I should be, why shouldn't I? And the fact that possibly he's poor. But the thing is that the question is here probably is, what the hell are you doing? Go take care of the sheep. The wolves are probably eating half of the sheep. And look at how he is going to sit upon the rocks and watch other shepherds. Really, I want to see a dramatization, not with the reaction of the woman, the reaction of the other shepherds to this lazy, idle shepherd who's not doing his job, who's good for nothing. He's not only doing like promising them, but he's not doing if he's not doing his job, his work that pays him, that puts food on his table, how is he going to keep these promises he's making? And at the same time, so he's promising all the pleasures. This is keyword here. And by the way, this is the idealistic, image, kind of poetry, image about poets that we had in the Elizabethan England. I have everything, exaggerating, all the pleasures. Going for love and proof. This is love. And this is prove. They don't rhyme. Now, maybe if you're watching the upstart crow, they make fun of this. There's a possibility that during the time of Shakespeare, that proof might have been pronounced prov, closer to, or vice versa, but I don't want to say Louvre because it's really ugly. Or there's the possibility of a poetic license making us change a little bit in the way we read words. But we want to take the poem as we read it now. And yes, say that there is here, Reem, there is what we call an I rhyme, an imperfect rhyme. So don't say, be my Louvre. Or if you want to say Louvre, it's the first line indicates that he's making fun of her. She's not his love, she's his Louvre. Louvre is, close to loaf, yeah? Anyway. So the man is, there's food there, so I don't know. Okay, so what does an I rhyme or an imperfect rhyme indicate? Thank you, there's deception here. Imperfection. You look at it from afar, تطنب عليه, wow. Like you said here, a first reading, wow, what a cute poem this is. What an idealistic, romantic poem this is. But when you come closer, wait a minute, this is not a perfect world. This is a false world. So love and proof don't rhyme. This could indicate, this could reflect the fact this is a poem that is imperfect, where the poet is a manipulator and a man who's fabricating things, lying, a man who's not doing his job. And a man who can't even rhyme two simple words. If you can't rhyme these words, stop lying. Stop the lies. Okay? Now, somebody, Raleigh, Sir Walter Raleigh, wrote a parody for this poem. It's called Her Reply, or sometimes the Nymph's Reply. You can't be certain who added these headlines or titles. Okay, and the poem reads, it's in your book. If all the world and love were young. That's if, where. That's not reality, unreal. And truth in every shepherd's tongue. Again, look at how he's highlighting the truthfulness of this. These pretty pleasures might me move to live with thee and be thy love. But time drives flocks from field to fold. Look at the alliteration, beautiful. Time, this is the third time we have the same kind of alliteration, you know, because this is time drives flocks from field to fold. Because it rushes, like this, it gives us the, it's not about the musicality here, it's about how you have the impression of time moving very quickly. When rivers rage and rocks grow cold, the philomel becomes dumb, and dressed complains of cares to come. The flowers do fade and wanton. Thank you for highlighting spring. This is a ballad, you know. This is this kind of poem about nature, but this is only in spring. What about the rest of the year? The flowers do fade and wanton fields. To wayward winter reckoning yields. A honey tongue, that's a honey tongue, true. A heart of gold, the inside is different. Is fancy spring, but sorrows fall. Thy gowns, thy shoes, thy beds of roses, thy cap, thy kirtle, and thy poses soon break, you know, soon break, soon wither. I love the word wither, you know, wither, yathbul, trees and flowers, soon forgotten, in folly ripe, in reason rotten. Thy belt of straw and ivy buds, thy coral clasps and amber studs, all these in me no means can move. Wow. To come to thee and be thy love. But could youth last? If youth could last. This is if. Unreal conditional F. Second F. And love still breed. Had joys no date if joys had no date. When you delete F, you do conversion. Nor age no need. Then these delights my mind might move to live with thee and be thy Louvre. You like this? Taib, okay. Well, I'll stop here, but I want you to think of a parody. Please think of a parody to Marlowe. But more importantly, ladies, maybe you want to compare and contrast the poems, but more importantly, look at this question here. I know I raise crazy questions most often. Is Raleigh a good speaker for women? Does he defend women as women would defend themselves? Okay, we'll see this perhaps next class. Thank you very much. I'll stop here. If you have questions, please stay back.